This tutorial is on the history of changes and restoring files. Address Box allows you to restore previous versions of your files as it keeps a record of past modifications. Once you update the folders and files, you can see all the history of these folders and files and restore them. You can select one or all of them, or a file from a certain date. To do this, you can right-click on the directory folder in the local browser and select the Address Box menu. You can then select Show Log to view the history of past versions of this folder, or you can select Revert to go back to a previous version of this folder. So if we go into Show Log, we will be given a display of previous versions of this folder. We can see what modifications have been made to this folder, the author that these modifications have been completed by, the date of these modifications, and also messages by the author which explain why these modifications have taken place. If we want to revert to one of these previous folder versions, we can go to the Address Box menu and select Revert to. Here we can select which previous version of this folder we want to revert to, and we then press Select. This will allow us to go back to this previous version of the folder. You can also do this for an individual file. So if we select this file, the presentation address box, right-click and go to the Address Box menu, we can see Show Log or Revert to. So if we want to see the history of modifications made to this file, we go to Show Log, and again we can see the actions, the author, date and messages. So we can select on any of these versions and press OK to view these past versions of this file. We can also revert to by right-clicking on any of these files. If we want to revert to by using the Revert to function on the Address Box menu, we select Revert to, and here we can go to any of the past versions of this file. So to give you an example, I'm going to go into the presentation address box and I'm going to delete this section of the presentation. I will save this change and then commit it to the repository. Now a version of the presentation address box has been committed to the repository where the text is missing on the front page. If we want to revert to a version where this text is still on the first page, we right-click, we go to the Address Box menu, select Revert to, and as you can see, this change was made at 9:28. So we go to the version at 9:14 and we press Select. Now if we go into the presentation address box, we will see that the text has returned, as this was the previous version of this file. So we exit and we then commit this version to the Address Box server. So now we have restored the previous version of this presentation address box. If you have made a modification accidentally and you wish to cancel the modification and you have not yet committed it to the address box server, you may use the Cancel Modification function on the address box menu. This will be explained in Video 10, Part 2.